Long days, pleasant nights, and welcome to Kingslingers, a Doof Media podcast journeying through Stephen King's Dark Tower series and beyond. I am your host, Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, is my co-host coming at you straight from the pickle aisle of her local grocery store. It's Kim C. How's it going today, Kim?
Hello, Scott. I like me some dill today.
Are there any Pickle Dads in the mix over there?
Oh, God.
I listened. I don't know if I listened to like the behind the scenes stuff at the end of the episode, and they called it Pickle Dad, and I was like, that's how they refer to it, as Pickle Dad. It's great.
Golly gee, I forgot about the after show commentary. I gotta get on that.
There's some stuff in there that like it made me go, oh, that's what you think you're doing, show. But I don't know if you're actually doing that. It's always interesting to hear people talk about what they're going for in the show and be like, oh, I can see that, but okay. Anyway, this week, we are here. We're back. It's episode 2 of HBO's Welcome to Derry. This episode is titled The Thing in the Dark. I don't understand this title. So this is something I wanted to circle back around to, Kim, because we got a comment from one of our listeners that said, I think the title, The Pilot, is meant to reference the fact that Leroy Hanlon is a pilot. And I gotta say, I felt pretty dumb. I felt pretty dumb when I read that comment.
I also felt I sink a few rungs because I was a super bra and I was like, the pilot, how stupid. They must be stupid.
It's funny, when I was literally putting the episode together and I like made the cover image, I remember saying to myself, why'd they put a "the" in front of it? It's just pilot, dummies. And then of course they're doing a thing. They were clever. And I just wanted to make sure we noted their cleverness, because I think we were pretty harsh last week. So give them credit where it's due, right?
I love that. I love making amends and and realizing it was operator error the whole time.
Yeah. I think it was kind of cool though to see kind of the general reaction to this show though, because like I think you and I recorded on Monday last week. I kind of make it a point to not read or listen to too many different people's opinions about stuff when I know I'm going to do an episode on it. So like I really hadn't kind of checked in with the general consensus on the reaction to the show. And it was, I guess, reassuring, I'll say, to feel like the biggest, largest contingent of reaction was as conflicted and confused as we were. There's plenty to like in the show, but I think a lot of people echoed both of our sentiments on the confusing nature of it, some of the weird plotting stuff. So that was good to see. I think we have the pulse a little bit. There's obviously people that like it more than us. There's people that liked it way less than us as well. But I think we are smack dab in the middle with the majority of people, it seems.
I feel validated. I love that.
And that is when we get to episode 2. So yeah, this is titled The Thing in the Dark. As I said, I don't really understand what different. Maybe our listeners can once again, after the fact, explain to me what this title is, because I don't think there's any moment in this episode where there's anything. I mean, obviously we know what it's referring to, but like usually you try to line it up either thematically or visually with like something that's happening in the episode. There's no moment where like someone's in the dark. I don't know. I'm racking my brain trying to think of it. But anyway, this episode was written by Austin Guzman. It was directed once again by Andy Muschietti. I think he did all 8 of these. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Very nice.
But Kim, what did you think? Episode 2. Did the show redeem itself for you?
Yeah, I think I have a little bit sunnier disposition today, and that's always a joy.
Yeah.
I felt in episode 1, I was gritting my teeth and I was a wee bit cranky pants with certain decisions. I was cautiously uncomfortable. And then with this, there was, if I'm looking at it like a pair of scales, there's so much more on the strength side than there were on the weaknesses side. However, the weaknesses that were present are real big deals, Scott. like really, really big deals. And I've got a lot of feelings about them, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah. I agree. I went into this kind of excited. So for those that don't know, the episode was released early. They released it on Halloween Day as just like a fun marketing thing, which I thought was pretty clever. And I'm actually really grateful for that because I've got 4 days now to sit with it. I watched it again a couple times. I really got to sit and think about it. And I think the things that bothered me kind of sunk to the bottom and were not on the top of my head, with one exception. And I think that's like my experience watching this episode, where I was really jazzed about it. Actually, I was really excited. Like I said, it's Halloween night, and I was really feeling it. Like all the new characters that come into the show, I really liked. Sometimes you get some of the pilot stuff out of the way, and you can just allow the show to really start running. And I was feeling that, and I was into it. And even the scare sequences in this episode do a similar thing that I complained about in the first episode. But once you like kind of got on their wavelength and the wavelength of the show, that bothers you less. And I was humming, and it was great. And then we got to the end of the episode.
Oh my goodness.
We got to the moment where the plot essentially of the show is defined. At least the military portion of the plot is defined. And I was flabbergasted. I thought there was legitimately a moment, because it was Halloween night. I had just done trick-or-treating with my kids and I was very tired. And so there's a moment where I thought I must have fallen asleep and I am dreaming what the show is.
Oh man.
Because it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Facts.
So to be clear here, for those that maybe forgot somehow, it is revealed at near the end of the episode that the overarching plot, at least of the military plot line of the show, is that the United States government, in an effort to beat the Soviet Union in the Cold War, is attempting to find, capture, and deploy Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
America's hope, Scott.
And they will do this via Leroy Hanlon, who, as we all know, had a damaged amygdala in the Korea, and therefore is literally incapable of feeling the sense of fear, which is Pennywise's only weakness. And it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. I am desperately trying to be charitable to the show, and there, like you said, I think there's plenty to love. I think there's plenty to talk about. We had to start with this because I cannot believe this is what the show is about. I cannot believe it.
I too was shooketh. I chatted. I had the extra special, amazing privilege to chat with Eric Vespi a couple weeks ago, and they had already seen this one. And so I said, "Oh, is it good?" And he's like, "Yeah, the first episode's great, but," and I was like, "Oh no, what?" And he's like, "Well, I got to tell somebody, and you're going to be that somebody, but let's just say the government's involved." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I can't say anymore." And so that's all I had, Scott, for like 3 weeks. And so I was bursting to tell you, and I was like, I won't ruin it for you, but I was like, "Scott, I know something. And it's bad. It's really bad." But I didn't know how bad, Scott. So I am with you in like I'm almost speechless at the dumb. Like the level of dumb is robbing me of words.
I am very much trying to format in my head like what the execution of this plan looks like. So like, let's pretend that they're going to be completely successful in everything they want to do. Obviously they're not, right? We know that like this is not going to work out the way they think it is, but let's pretend for a moment that it does. They succeed in capturing it somehow. What is step 2? What like the plot is, we're going to beat the Russians in the Cold War before the missiles are even fired. This is our best and only chance to defeat the Russians. Are we going to like fly Pennywise over Moscow and just like drop him in Moscow and be like, "Oh, y'all are fucked now"? Like I don't I don't see it. And like my only my only like charitable read of this is that we're supposed to think this is stupid, but like to what end, right? I mean, maybe just like I think you can see like the thematic thing of, oh, the government sucks. This is a really stupid plan. But like I think it weirdly like it's a tonal thing with me on the show where it seems to be taking this very seriously. Like if this was like a campier show, and it's not like the show doesn't have humor in it. I think there is a lot of funny parts in the show. I think we're at times, at least in the first episode, a little mixed on like what that humor actually was. But it's humor in a very specific way where it's not campy. It's not like B movie making fun of itself stuff. It's gross out humor and horror, and then like dead seriousness at times too. And the way the scene is shot where the guy reveals his plan, it's like, this is the most important thing that a human being has ever said, ever. And Kim, explain this to me. Make it make sense, please.
I wish I could. My friend, because I am at a loss. I don't understand step 2. The only thing I could think of is that it's going to fail, obviously. And so we're just supposed to focus on the inevitable failure.
Yeah.
And that's it. But yeah, this is Bozo Town. This is what? Excuse me, what did you say?
And then there are like beacons that we're using beacons to find.
What the hell?
And so we're just digging in the ground, and that's what Halloran is doing here. Is he's like being a psychic beacon detector, where he's trying to find beacons of Pennywise. And like, I think what we're going to do with the beacons thing, I think the ending of the episode makes this clear, is these are going to be basically events from interludes, right? In it, that these are moments in which Pennywise has put his mark on the town via large events. Like, obviously we have the Bradley gang and the one we're shown here. You have the Kitchener Ironworks. You have maybe the Black Spot as well. I don't know how that's gonna work in, because that technically hasn't happened yet in the timeline of the show. But so the idea is, I guess there's some like, and this is all me assuming, there's some like residue of Pennywise, of it, in these places, in these events, and they're gonna use that to like psychically track where it is. But it's just like, again, like this is like, it's very plotty, and like it's trying to, like, you can almost see the people sitting in the room saying, okay, we want to do this thing where we take all of the interludes, and we need, because it's a TV show, and it's a TV show in 2025 where we really like, all the stories need to interconnect. It needs to be telling some larger overarching story. How do we take these disparate short stories and find a way to tie them together into some larger whole? And it just seems like this is what they came up with. That this is like, we're going to do this government conspiracy, and in order to find it, they need to find the past locations of these things. It's clunky. It just feels clunky to me.
So clunky. Reject Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's
Yes,
what we have.
yes,
This is trying to be Spielberg. Trying to hodgepodge paper mache Spielberg DNA to make this work. I honestly, like, I think about it, Scott, and like my brain shuts down. I don't have words to like break down what they could have been thinking, because you're right. I really think this is a group of people in a room trying to figure out, how do we sew together the Derry intervals, the interludes, into 1962.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just don't. I'm almost speechless, which does not make for a very good podcast. But I think the other part of it is the Leroy Hanlon of it all, like the actual like. So it's revealed in this episode something that I think I guessed last week, which is that the assault by the three masked men was actually just a test from the special projects division. It's not that in the way I thought it was, which, like, I thought they were testing him to see if he is worthy of, if he can keep government secrets, if he's worthy of trust, really they were just testing to see if his amygdala actually did the thing that he read in a report that it did, which is like, I'm gonna put a gun on him and see if he gets afraid, which is like, just like observing someone's fear response is not like a good scientific test of, are they actually like literally incapable of fear. It's so weird to me. It's like everything in the military plot line, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yes. Accurate. Good call, though. I love that you were right on, like, oh, Scott was totally right. This was, we were bamboozled. This was just one big sham.
It just seems like a lot of effort in order to see if he gets afraid of things. I don't know, like maybe just like point a gun at him like in your office and see what he does, or maybe just say, hey, I've heard you're incapable of fear. Can we hook your brain up to a machine and like measure your fear response to stimuli? Or so I don't know, like anything. I don't know. I think it's just too much plot. Like,
yes,
it's getting in the way of everything we're doing with the characters. And I do actually think so. Even with Leroy, I do think there's a lot of really interesting things going on here. With Derry as a whole, like this episode fixed every problem I had with how Derry was being depicted or not depicted, with what we were actually doing and saying with the town and the characters in it, and really defining this place, not just geographically, but like who the people are and the type of people that live here, and like all that stuff I think was great. And then you just have to dump this smelly pickle plot on it. But yeah, I don't. Is there anything else you want to say about this whole government conspiracy? Because I kind of want to move on to happier things, but I still can't with this. I can't.
I have a feeling it's going to bubble up later on down the road.
Sure.
So I think we should go onward and upward to the nice parts of the episode, because the giant crater mess that we have to deal with will inevitably return.
The last thing I'll say is the ending moment of the episode is when they pull the Bradley gang car out of the burial site. So I guess, because the Bradley gang shootout happened in the middle of Derry. It happened in downtown Derry, and you can the opening, the intro title sequence of the show confirms that, because we see the Bradley gang shooting. So I guess what we're saying here is that they like then moved and buried the cars in the middle of nowhere, and that's what they were digging up. I don't get that, but you know, you said Indiana Jones there, and I think that's very fitting. It's like pulling the car out. It's kind of like pulling the Ark out, the Ark of the Covenant. Except when that happens in Indiana Jones, we the viewer know what the Ark of the Covenant is. It has been defined for us, and we understand the significance of them pulling this thing out and having this thing. This is my problem with what the show is doing, because I asked the question, like, who is the show for, right? Because you and me, and I think probably most of the people listening to this podcast instantly probably said, oh, that's Bradley gang, right? Yep. But if you've never read the book, and if all you have is watched the movie, the 2017 film and the sequel, there's no, like, that's meaningless to you. And the way the scene is shot, the way the music stings, the way like the camera moves, it builds it as this Ark of the Covenant moment, that this is this big important thing. Look at this huge important thing. And it's like, but maybe half the people or more watching it have no, like, what is, I don't understand. I don't, like, the emotionality just isn't there. And like, I think this is one of those problems when you're trying to do this thing that is trying to have its cake and eat it too. It's trying to appease the hardcore fan and bring in new people to the thing at the same time. And I just felt like that was one of those moments where I literally turned to my wife and was like, do you know what that is? And she's like, no. A car? What's it? Is dead people in a car? Yeah. It's the Bradley gang. The who? The what? No.
Oh my God. You're totally right. And I had a conversation with one of the gals in my Stephen King book club who has read a lot of Stephen King. And so we were talking about the first two episodes, and she's like, and I quote, I am just here for Pennywise. So I like what you mentioned about who is this show for,
Yeah.
and what are they doing with this? And you're right. Nobody outside of people who have read the novel knew that was the Bradley gang or knew anything about who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And the show does not do any effort to really like it introduced the concept of beacons, but only like very vaguely with not a lot of like how I think you asked this question, which was great when we were talking earlier, where it's like, how did they learn about these beacons?
Right.
There's a Native American character that is briefly shown like observing the military operation. I think that's gonna be the way to it. Like maybe they talked to some natives in the area, and that's how they found out about all this stuff. Like, is how did they learn about Pennywise? Right? One of the things that is Derry is that this stuff is happening, and yet nobody talks about it. Nobody knows it. Like it's so anomalous that like only the literally only the children seem to be aware of what's actually going on in this town. Like that's a very big point of this whole thing. So we're gonna need some work done now because they've established the thing to explain how the government found out about this, how the government found out about beacons, like how they did all like is the government if the general says the ritual of chewed, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
I will throw things, Scott. I will damage my own home. Oh my gosh. The guy, I'm so glad you brought up the native guy. Of course, I didn't do my homework. I don't know his name, but that is one of the guys from Long Walk. He's he's one of the native walkers. Of course, I don't know his name either. I'm sorry.
Well, they haven't said the name of the character in the show yet. Right. So I don't think he's been named yet. I'm assuming maybe this is just a slightly racist assumption, but I'm assuming he's some way linked with the current owner of the Secondhand Rose because she's a Native woman as well. Maybe that's unfair of me. I have no idea, but
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, he's just, they don't even really introduce him. There's a scene of him standing there watching. And then like, I honestly, when I was watching it a second time, I was like, maybe I missed the scene where after they established him there, that there was going to be a whole scene where we like explain who he is and what he's doing there. I guess they're just holding that for a later episode. So that's fine. I'm not complaining about that, but it was just interesting. Yeah. So I don't know the guy's name either. Joshua Ochik, I think is the actor's name. And you're right. He was in The Long Walk. Lots of repeat King actors in this show.
I kind of love that. They're getting the Flanagan treatment.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to better stuff. And the first thing I think worthy of talking about is the first thing people see when they boot up this week's episode, which is the title sequence. And so for those that don't know, pilots typically do not have opening credit sequences for a variety of reasons. I think one of which is just that's the way it was done in the old days, and we just kind of keep doing it that way. Like, so when you made a pilot back in the day, the show hadn't been picked up yet. So the pilot is literally to sell the show to the network. And so you're trying to save money wherever you possibly can. And so cutting together a title sequence, paying money for music and in a lot of the old shows, like literally shots from the show that haven't been filmed yet is just not worth it. So they just wouldn't do it. With a show like this, like there's no reason why they couldn't have done it. It's just kind of become a thing in amongst television production, but we get to see it here in the second episode. And Kim, it's so good.
It is so good. I love it.
Yeah. I think it helped me almost immediately get my head around what the tone of the show was actually supposed to be, because I meant to check on like what the actual song is that's playing in this.
I don't know, but it's catchy. I tried I'm going to memorize the lyrics. That's what I'm going to do. But I love the little xylophone freakiness and this little child's voice. And it starts out with these gorgeous, vivid 1950s domestic American suburbs. And then after a couple seconds, you see the one kid looking in like the sewer, and then they just get progressively more frightening. It is a triumph. I'm so pleased.
Yeah, it's apparently a song called "A Smile and a Ribbon" by the band Patience and Prudence. This is a 1956 song. So it fits perfectly. You're absolutely right. The slow kind of escalation of something's wrong here. And the way it transitions to where it's like, and this is something I think that the show is actually doing, is it's building Derry. Like, I think there's a lot of different depictions of Derry. And I think Stephen King's Derry is a place that is just rotten and bad to the core, to the point where you could just feel it. Like, everyone feels it. Like, I think in 11/22/63, the guy walks into the town and is like, after being in the town for 5 seconds, he's like, this place sucks. There's something wrong with this place. It's awful. This TV show, and I think the Muschietti films as well, are taking a little bit of a different tactic with that, which is like, Derry is a place that presents on the surface as being this wholesome, wonderful 1950s Americana place where everyone is happy and wonderful. But that is a veneer, that is a thin veneer, and underneath it there's darkness and badness. And so I think the sequence really sells that, the idea that there's these wonderful, like, homely suburban pictures of happy kids playing, and then over there's just something not right. And then as we continue to move forward, those not right things take up more and more and more of the frame. It's like, I was so jazzed after that. Like, that put me in such a good mood for the rest of the show. That sequence is awesome.
Super beautiful. I also noticed, if you guys start at the beginning, only the kids see the bad things. So it's only the children. So I like that they're working with that as well.
Yeah. That definitely fits. I love that. And we get to, it's interesting, like, the things we get to see in it, right? So we kind of go through, we see the house on Nebolt Street, we see Juniper Hill. We eventually get to as we said, the Bradley gang. And we also see the Kitchener Ironworks explosion, which I thought both of those things were gonna be like major events in future seasons of the show. Like, so it's interesting that we chose to depict them in that way. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that because we put it in the intro sequence of the first season that we like now can't do the Kitchener Ironworks. But I was a little surprised by that. I thought those were going to be big climactic events of future seasons.
Right. I'm wondering if are they going to put them in this season, or is it just like a teaser for later? Because you're right. These are huge events.
Well, that's the thing about doing the Bradley gang as one of these beacons or whatever, is like, so now are we going to have to, I assume we're going to eventually have to like teach the audience about the Bradley gang and what happened there. And maybe we do that in a flashback, maybe not. I don't know. But if we do that, like, what are the future seasons of the show? Like, this goes against everything I thought the show was. If we're still doing the multi-season anthology idea. So I don't know.
I agree. Because if they burn it out and they blow all their chips in this season and we have all the intervals covered, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And then you're just making stuff up. And then I get even more mad.
Yeah. And then you got yourself in a real Game of Thrones situation.
100%. 100%. It did not end well for GOT.
No. But yeah, so that sequence was so great. I also like that we basically pick up, I actually think it's the cold open of the episode, where we see the events of the movie theater again, but this time specifically from Lily's perspective. And I enjoyed that for some reason. I don't know. Like, I think part of it was like the filmmaking of the event itself in the first episode was like, the camera's kind of whipping all over the place. And that's why, like, I think there was a lot of people out there was like, are these people really dead? Are they not dead? And it was because we didn't get a clear image of everything that was going on here. We get to see it again. We get a little bit more clear image of things happening. We get to see poor Phil thrown up against that window. But I guess the news is they're dead. They're all three of them are super dead, although the bodies are missing. So maybe not, but I think they're super dead.
They dead, and we got tricked, and I'm okay with it, Scott. Mm-hmm. We got Tom fooled, and it worked. It was like a cool let's dangle this in front of the hardcore fans and upset them. And then let's pull a fast one. And we're actually killing these kids that you thought were going to be a large investment. I liked it. I thought, wow, okay, the stakes are so much higher. A huge tone shift in this episode. Very cool.
Yeah, and we're using it, I think, in a fun way where the consequences of this thing happening are what's defining the plot in this episode and going forward, right? We have I'm blanking on his name. Ronnie's father, Hank, I think it is. We
Yes.
have Hank now in danger of being accused of doing this crime. We have Lily kind of dealing with the aftermath of it. And we get to see the way the rest of the town does not deal with the aftermath of it. Like the next day in school, when Lily goes back to school, it's a normal day in Derry High School. No one seems affected by any of the stuff at all. Nobody seems to care. Which this is probably the most important question I'm going to ask you of the evening. How quickly did the movie theater open up again after this horrible massacre?
Oh, the next day.
Yeah,
Clearly.
I'm going to say 24 hours. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They mopped and here you go.
If the floors are a little sticky, you can just say that's just a movie theater.
It's just soda. It was just soda.
I agree. I think everyone wants to move on. And that's one of the plot I really liked was this idea of we need to pin this on Hank because in Derry, we solve these things right away and then we move on from them. So it's clear this guy did it. He's black. They don't actually ever say that, but which is something I do want to talk to you about. But
yeah,
he is the black projectionist. Let's pin this on this guy and move on with it. And then the whole city can move on and we don't have to think about this ever, which I think nails the Derry that I understand from King's writing. So I really liked all that.
It worked really well.
Let's talk about the racism, though.
Racism! Exclamation point.
That's what it says in my notes. So I wanted to circle back around to this because it is something that I brought up with you last week, which is that I thought it was interesting that in a story that we still think could lead to the black spot, there was really only like one guy who was like being super racist, and it was the Masters, I think the flight guy, whatever, who it turns out for a second there we thought was the one that beat up Leroy. Turns out that he was just a fall guy. But he was the only racist person at Derry. And episode 2, I think, makes it clear that that's not true. But I think I want to spend some time on this because I think it does it in a really interesting way that I'm not sure I quite fully understand what they're doing, but they're being very non-direct with a lot of the racism in this show. So it's there, obviously, right? Like the reason why Hank Grogan is suspected for this crime is because he's black. Like the show actually makes that very clear. But it does it like, this is what I mean. Like, I think there's an assumption in me, and maybe I'm just wrong, that like, if you're going to do a period piece that takes place before the Civil Rights Act and you're going to deal with racism, it's going to be very overt. There's going to be people just saying slurs and being really openly shitty to black people. And I think it's interesting the way a lot of the racism in this show seems more like surreptitious, maybe the wrong word, but like it is institutional. It is like it is racial biases that are just like present in the institutions in the government of the it feels like 21st century racism in a little bit, in a way, where like neither of the two cops that are sitting in front of Hank's house are like actively talking about how this black guy definitely did it, yada yada yada, but they're sitting in a part of town that is clearly where the majority of the black people in town live. Like that's what we've been shown, and it's there. It's there. Like, this is why they're doing this, is why they're looking at him. But again, it's not at the forefront of what the show is doing. And like we have Charlotte Hanlon walking downtown Derry. She's a black woman walking down the streets of this town. Everyone around her is white. Like they're doing a lot of the imagery. Like she is one of the only black people in this town. and yet they're not doing like the overt, like people are like moving to the other side of the street or like looking at her funny. We have like one instance of one teenager like giving her a look, but that I think is more just him being an asshole teenager. And like she goes into shops and has wonderful experiences with the owners of all these shops. Like, I don't know, I've been talking a while, but just like talk to me about your reaction to some of this stuff, because I'm fascinated by what they're doing.
I'm so glad we're talking about this because this is so huge, Scott. This is so huge. So when I watched episode 1, I felt almost relief when we had the U.S. Air Force General Shaw. He's like, oh, that guy's going to be on latrine duty and we don't want any of this in our Air Force. And I was like, oh, I almost like breathed easier. Like, okay, maybe this is going to be progressive, even though technically speaking, according to the timeline, that shouldn't have been the case. But I don't know. Maine was part of the Union. Civil War wise. So I was like, I don't know, maybe they were just always abolitionist. Maybe they've always been progressive. This is going to be great. I can breathe easy. Then we've got actual dead kids, and episode 2 begins right outside of the Grogan's neighborhood. And oh my God, Scott, like I felt such ominous dread because it was like, oh, they tricked us again. The first episode led me to believe that they were going to not focus on that as hardcore as you mentioned, as intensely as you mentioned. And I like what you said about it being like a modern take where it's hot and cold. It's there, it's not.
Yeah.
And that is 21st century. You are with the people you trust. You don't act a certain way with these people. You know which color the states are when you're traveling. Things of that nature, you know? And or you find the towns with universities in them. That's how we do it. So I felt such a tonal drop in episode 2 because I was genuinely, I didn't give a hell about a monster and kids. I was like, oh, they're going to harm these innocent Black people.
Yeah.
Like these Black families the Grogans are in terrible danger. This is so bad. And so I think you're onto it perfectly where it's like, what are they doing with this? Is it just dangling a toy in front of us to have us batted around? I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's moments like when we have Dick Halloran and I guess the 2 other Black people in the Air Force station in Derry. I think there's 4 of them total, and 3 of them were in a bar. And we have that moment where they're in the bar, and then there's this moment where like a guy comes walking up to them seemingly angry, and then we like cut away from that in a weird way where Dick basically says, okay, time to go, and they get up and leave, and we don't show that interaction. And so like the understanding there is, here's a white guy mad that there's 3 Black guys sitting in this bar and he's going to pick a fight with them. But because we don't actually show the interaction, we're just led to like read that between the lines. And that's what a lot of this stuff does too, because like it's using this imagery, because like there's a shot in this episode where Ronnie has been told by her grandmother that she's returning to school. And so we have this very powerful imagery of this little Black girl walking into the school, and she's walking by dozens of white children, and they are all turning to look at her. And this is very charged and powerful imagery, right? We've seen, I mean, everyone has seen the pictures of, I can't remember the girl in the school right now, but everyone's seen the pictures of the forced integration of schools and how like there was soldiers there to protect these poor kids just for wanting to go to school. Like we've all seen those pictures. We all know what that's like. And there's moments here where I think this show is calling that imagery up to us. But in the language of the show, the reason why everyone is turning to stare at Ronnie in this moment is because her father is suspected of being the one who murdered all the kids in the theater. And that's not because he's Black, but it's like, it's also not like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's kind of confused. And I don't know what to make of it. It feels like they didn't want to do the thing where they just have like the racism be really overt and all these people are like throwing the N-word at Black people in this movie in the show all the time. And like, I get that. I get not wanting to do that. I get like not wanting to make that, because that just becomes what your show is about. If you do that, like that just becomes the whole thing. And I get not wanting to do that, but I feel like sometimes we're in this weird middle ground where I don't know how I should feel in any given moment. Like Charlotte walks into the butcher, and like I don't know what to expect. And maybe that's where they want me, where they're like, I'm afraid for her. Maybe that, like, because that's probably her experience, right? She doesn't know what to expect. She walks into this butcher. Oh, this one's nice to me. Oh, good. That's great. Didn't know that was going to happen. So maybe ultimately that's what the show wants us to, where the show wants us to be. But I don't know. It's really interesting. It really is.
So many blurred lines. And I'm with you. I am nervous. I am not breathing easy anytime any Hanlon is moving around. And now episode 2 has allowed me to realize like that's accurate for me to feel that way.
Yeah.
I feel like we're really being toyed with, Scott. Like,
yeah.
I do. And this could be unclear writing. This could be a couple things. This could be the blurred lines that you were talking about. Like, they don't want to overtly address it. They don't want the whole show to be this very racially charged, upsetting Sunday night viewing. I get that. But at the same time, you're going back and forth. You are going back and forth, and it's uneasy. I feel uneasy all the time, and I guess that's a good thing. But
the show wants you to feel uneasy, so I think it's working in that regard. But yeah, I remain uncertain of how to feel about any of this. And like, especially, going back to Dick Halloran, like, he is, we talk about like the magical Negro trope that King does use quite a bit in his stories. Dick Halloran is another example of that. And I wonder if the way they're positioning him in this story is to ultimately like comment or critique on that idea, because that is essentially what he is serving for the military right now. Like, he has these magical powers and they are using him to further their goals, and they are giving him special treatment. We see he's being treated better than the average soldier. So like they pulled all the black soldiers in and questioned them about what happened to Leroy, even though that doesn't make sense. And because they knew exactly who did it, that was all performative anyway. And yet they didn't question Halloran because Halloran because he's special. And I wonder if ultimately that's what we're doing, is we're shining a light on this trope that is used so often, and maybe examining it ultimately. I have no idea.
I would love to think they're that smart, Scott, but I don't, honestly. I think that they're in the business of razzle dazzle and entertainment. And I think viewers like yourself, who are 10 steps ahead always, is going there to those intelligent places. I would be flabbergasted if they did, and if we did get an examination of the magical Negro trope and why they're always in the service of white people, and why it is an inappropriate thing, even though it is entertaining in King's novels. It's not aging well.
Yeah.
And so, but no, I would be shocked if they went about that in an intelligent way. I would, but it would be great if they did.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope so. But I don't know. But let's talk about some of those new characters. We mentioned them offhand, but I just want to talk about how much I love Charlotte and little Will Hanlon. I wish these characters, like, the pilot would have in my mind gone up like 10 levels if we had just introduced these two characters at the beginning of the show. I think they're great. I love them both. Taylor Page is the woman who plays Charlotte Hanlon. She is a powerhouse. Like, she comes into the show and just like, you can meet, like, she's the type of actress that just like, she takes a scene over and she's awesome. The dinner scene where we actually, like, once again, by the way, not like, we're not being overt with our stuff. Like, she is someone that has clearly been working and fighting for civil rights for her people. Like, and the way the show mentions that is like in a very kind of indirect way, where I think it's Leroy says like, well, what about when you were out there making signs or sitting where people didn't want you? And it's like, once again, we don't want to say the thing. Like, we don't want to have the racist people like be outright racist, and we don't want to have the people fighting against racism and for civil rights like say the thing. But we're gonna do it in the background, or we're gonna define it non-specifically. But anyway, like, that helps us understand who she is and what she wants, and like, she's awesome, man. I love her so much.
I am with you times 1,000. Oh my God, Scott, you're so right. She is let's start with this laundry list of good. stunningly beautiful. Like just and there's just a regal, feminine, strong yet soft. I don't know. You're absolutely correct. She walks into the scene, takes it over. She's really magical. She is so special. Hats off to casting. She is perfect. I love her so much. And I loved that part when she breaks up the fight, even though that one little shit like stares her down, that hooligan asshole.
Oh, that was terrifying, man.
It
like
was.
That was the scariest moment in the show. And I think that exact thing happens in it. I think it's been a couple of years since I read it, but there is a moment where someone decides to stand up to the kids, and like there's this real line drawn. I think it's Henry Bowers that crosses the line, but like the understanding is that if an adult comes up and runs and says you to stop it, oh, that's over. We have to do it. And just the fact that this kid steps forward slightly and she's like, oh, and she like, you can see she immediately understands the place that she's in. She like what this place is. Oh man. And that's all in their face. It's all in her face and her reaction. Oh, so good.
Huge moment. And what I love so much is it just that moment, even though it was terrifying and I was really nervous for her, it just solidifies everything I love about the Hanlons. The Hanlons stand. They always stand. They will forever stand.
Yeah.
And she hasn't even been in Derry 5 minutes, and she's like already doing it. Like, why isn't anyone breaking this up? And so she just runs out there and does it. And so she's just that force for good immediately. Talk about a great moment of showing versus telling. This is like, this is why we watch film. This is why we do it. This is well done, everyone.
Yeah. And then it cuts from that to her complaining about the whole situation to Leroy that next night, the whole boys will be boys thing. And she's like, I don't have it. I'm not having it. This is ridiculous. And like, this is what this town needs. It needs more people like her, not the people that are just going to stand by and shrug and do whatever. Great moment. And also like, we have this realization. There's this moment where Leroy gets the telescope for young Will. And it's this real wonderful moment of like, of course I knew what you wanted, kid. And then we realized that came from Charlotte, that Leroy knows nothing or is completely unable to understand his child. Will, like, if you look at like the character description line for Will Hanlon, it's like, it just says science and that's it. Because that, like, he's adorable. I love him. He's great. But like, that is definitely like they're leaning hard into this guy's trait is the science. He does the science. He likes science. And so Leroy is not able to relate to that whatsoever, but it's Charlotte that swoops in and is completely okay with allowing her husband to take the credit for this thing. She's like, she understands and recognizes that these are two people that are very different from each other, that are having difficulty connecting, and she is going to be there to help bridge that gap and be that link for them. And that makes you like her even more. She's great. If something bad happens to her,
oh my God,
I'm going to be really upset.
Scott, I will be absolutely inconsolable. I will not be all right. I will grieve. I will mourn. It will not be good.
Yeah.
Little Will Hanlon, I am so in love with him, Scott. I can't even see straight or breathe. He is the most precious little boy.
Yeah. He is great. Him getting blamed for the stink bomb was tragic. I felt so bad for him. This poor kid. Like, I have to say, I've seen a lot of choices of the new kid feels like he's not welcome, so he's going to do lunch elsewhere. I've never seen just like on the floor in the hallway as an option. I didn't know you could do that. But it didn't really work out for him.
All I know is that I wanted to slap every single person who was mean to him. I was so full of rage. I was like, how dare you speak to him that way? How dare you? I felt such righteous indignation over this little lamb. I don't know. He won me over in 2 seconds, and I wanted to kill everyone who was mean to him.
That teacher is so mean.
So mean.
Like, this is first day. He's late because he didn't know where the classroom was. You don't have someone to like show the kid around the school? No, apparently not. She's just nasty. That's
awful.
Nasty woman. She sucks. And then she's yelling at the kids for someone else being mean to him. That's, again, another charged like racial image is this black kid walking into a classroom where everyone else is white. They're all staring at him. are they staring at him because he's black? Well, probably a little bit, right? He's like the only black kid in the class. So, and then they immediately pull a chair out from under him, and it's like these things are happening. Like they're like the racism is here. It's in the show. It's a core part of the show, but it's just doing it in a way that I didn't quite expect it to. So,
Follow-up question to that, Scott. Do you feel if we keep going this direction of the blurred lines in each episode where it's racist on, racist off, racist on, racist on, and it's just like this hot and cold bigotry, will that work? Is there going to be some sort of like, I don't know. I feel like because they're not overtly addressing it, it might do them a disservice going forward.
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's definitely what we're doing right now is we definitely have like a dichotomy brewing because we have two black families in this show, right? We have the Hanlons new to town. They are probably charitably like middle class, maybe upper middle. Like I think is he a colonel? I don't know what his rank in the military is. He seems like
Major?
he's a
Major
major. You're
Leroy?
right. He seems like he's doing very well. His career is very successful. He's very high regarded. They have a very nice house in the middle of suburbia. They're doing okay. And then on the other side, we have Ronnie and her father and her grandmother who clearly live in the not great part of town. Like I think it's interesting the way Muschietti shoots that area. It's like everything's kind of like stacked on top of each other. They're all like I don't want to call them projects per se, but like it is feels like lower income housing. Everyone is kind of much more squished together. It's much less like serene and peaceful and 50s Americana. And so we have these two different families who are having different experiences in this town. There is racism. Both of them are experiencing racism, but I think they are experiencing different kinds of racism where like Hank is now in jail for something he definitely did not do. I don't know how Hank gets out of jail at this point, right? Like even if Lily Bainbridge comes back and says, no, I was pressured into it. No, the chief of police illegally detained me and questioned me without a parent or guardian present because I'm a 13-year-old child and you're not allowed to do that. It doesn't mean that we're suddenly going to release this guy from prison. Like he's the guy. Everyone's decided he's the guy. And no small part of that is because of his economic status and the color of his skin. And so I don't know, maybe we're doing something very specific with that, those two different sides of that and seeing where they will and will not cross. I don't know.
Right.
But I think it could get a little muddled and confusing as we continue to go, especially if we're going to the black spot, right?
Yeah.
I think especially.
I'm with you. I hope they have control of this. I feel distrust sometimes. I think just years of getting really invested in television, I've lost a lot of faith in writers. Only because, I mean, Scott, you watched Lost. I mean,
my perfect show that never did anything bad. That's what you're referring to?
I know a lot
The
of people
greatest show of all time? Yeah.
I know a lot of people feel the same way, but all I know is that I read about those writers in Entertainment Weekly and they said, we just hoped people would stop caring about the questions they asked. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think one day I'll do a whole show about that show, but I love that show in spite of its flaws, but I think they got a little too swept up in like the fun of internet plus serialized television, and they leaned into it a little too much and they're like suddenly like, wait, you expect us to have answers to these questions? Well, yeah. So yeah, no, I get it. And yeah, I don't know, ultimately the show could stick the landing with all this stuff and it could completely screw it up. I have no idea. I'm hopeful, kind of.
I am too. I have just put way too much money into slot machines that don't pay out in television, in the world of television. Yeah. And so because of that, I'm very cautious. And so as we're talking about this this huge theme in the show, I can't help but thinking, oh, this could get out of hand if we don't have the right writers pulling the reins.
Yeah, I guess one thing we should say, or I should say, is I'm a white man, so I'm speaking of this from a very specific direction, right? I actually I am curious if like if there were how many black writers were on the staff if they're trying to tackle this thing. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm curious about that. And because I would think if you're trying to do something this complicated and you're trying to do it in this I think subtle, more complex than just people running around screaming the N-word, which I support, by the way. I'm not saying I want the show to be like a bunch of people like being overtly racist. Like I don't want Charlotte to walk down the street and everyone just be like giving her stink eye the whole time. Like I don't want that to be what the show is.
Right.
I'm just saying it's interesting the way the show is approaching it is surprising to me.
I'm with you. And I think I don't know. I feel like I'm being tricked. And so,
yeah.
And I like it. I feel so complex about this because I'm like, I'm being bamboozled. I'm actively being bamboozled by this show in a good way because I'm like, oh, wow, this was cool. I didn't expect it to be cool. So I feel my emotions are all over the place, but I'm with you. I'm like I'm concerned.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm concerned with is some of the recurring depictions of birth and the treatment of women in the show a little bit. I think I definitely wanted to talk to you about this. So I enjoyed the sequences in this episode, the gross out horror sequences. I enjoyed them generally. Like I said, I think they both still have the same problem that I had with the opening sequence in the first episode, is that they build this really wonderful tension. Like I think the Pickle Dad scene was like an all-time horror sequence right up until the very end. Once again, we had this, not to be a broken record, but like once again, I was in it. It was building it, ratcheting up the tension. I loved the creepy people in the background. I loved the moving shelves. I loved all of that. I even loved when like Pickle Dad first shows up in the jar and then he turns into this weird tentacled monster. And it just kind of lost me at that point. And something you pointed out to me again was not only did it turn into a tentacled monster, but it's a tentacled monster that wraps the tentacle around a little girl and then shoves that tentacle in her mouth, which is very charged, disgusting imagery. And that combined with another birth trauma scene, that's 2 in 2 episodes. I don't know. Where's your head at with this?
Oh my God. Scott. Okay. So the 2 births I'm very curious about. A part of me is wondering, is this just low-hanging body horror fruit that
kind
you
of,
are
yeah.
right. Because we had demon bat baby birth, very visceral, coming out of the vaginal canal. We saw the whole thing. And then we have connected to the character of Ronnie Grogan, this memory of her mother, of this shame and this haunted memory that Pennywise is perverting for her, because that's what he does. He perverts. I mean, it's straight out of the Demon Handbook. That's what they do. They take sacred things and they pervert them and ruin them and bring in your shame and bring in your dread. And so I loved the scene with Ronnie and her mom. It was terrifying and it was really cool. But I don't know what they're saying about double birth or birth trauma or how that's connected to Pennywise the she spider. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think cycles have always been really important to it, right? The idea of this cyclical nature of the monster. And so like the cycles of birth and death, I think you could like squint and see it there. Part of me thinks it's exactly what you're thinking, is that like birth is inherently terrifying and like there's a lot going on there. Like I got to see both of my children being born and it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And it's scary and it's dangerous and like I get the low hanging fruit there. I think one disappointment I had with the Ronnie sequence is, like we talked about in episode 1, I don't really feel like the show laid enough groundwork for that being her primary fear. Like it felt like the way we did it was literally like right before she fell asleep in bed, we cut to a picture of her mom.
That was it.
And that was like it. And it's like, okay, her mom. And so like, I just feel like if we're going to do stuff like this, I think we should take a little bit of the time in the show to set up. This is the thing that this character thinks about. This is the thing that is really affecting this character and she's carrying with her. And then the gross out sequence is both disgusting and horrifying. And also like we are, I think, much more in tune with them emotionally of the trauma of what the bad stuff actually is representing for them. So I didn't love that, but it was certainly gross. It was certainly gross having to have a person chew off their own umbilical cord so they can escape their terrifying mother. It once again lost me when she got up and like turned into like a super tall and like did the, I guess I'm just gonna call it the Annie Muschietti like horror run, because I feel like every horror creature in these movies like will do some weird and disturbing like quick run or sprint towards someone. I do have a question for you about this though.
Yeah, go for it.
Is this stuff actually happening? So this is where I'm confused on this show. So, and once again, I think I'm bringing my book knowledge into things a little bit. In the book, when stuff happened to characters, when Pennywise was doing stuff to people, it was really happening. If Pennywise turned into a werewolf and slashed at you and you escaped, you still had a big slash on you because a werewolf slashed you, because it was a real werewolf. He turned into a werewolf and slashed at you. The two big horror sequences in this episode are like essentially like dream logic horror sequences, where like a character is going through an experience. It all feels very visceral and real to them. The things they're experiencing are visceral and real. And then they snap out of it and everything is back to normal. Like, so at one moment, Ronnie is covered with amniotic fluid and guts and viscera after having birthed herself from her mother. And then the next moment, her dad opens the door and all that's gone. Nothing happened. So like in that moment, if that hadn't happened, or if she hadn't chewed off her own umbilical cord, does she die in that moment? Because I kind of think yes, but I'm confused as to like the logic of the horror sequences in the show. And I think probably also this was also true in the movies as well. I don't know. What do you think?
Once more, Scott, I think you're too smart for these dum-dums. I think that it's all razzle dazzle. And so I love this. I love what you're thinking about, because you're absolutely right. It was real for them. And you brought up a great sequence with Beverly and the blood in the bathroom.
Yeah.
She brought the losers to her house in many films, and they're like, oh my God, what happened? They can all see it. They all clean it up. They spend hours and hours cleaning it. The blood was real.
Yeah.
But Alvin Marsh couldn't see it, right? It was just the adults. So I think you're right. I think there is a fundamental disconnect with it was really happening, but in these episodes, the kids are just crazy, and that's sad.
Yeah.
And with Ronnie, I agree with you. I think that with Lily, we found out in episode 1 about her dad dying in the pickle jar thing. So then Pickle Dad in the next episode.
Well earned and great. Yeah, totally agree.
Right. We did not get that with Ronnie. And so we got a really well executed terror sequence, I think, minus the Mrs. Kirsch walk at the end, which is wild. But yeah, that was metal. She bit her own umbilical cord. Dang.
That chick's a survivor, that's for sure. Yeah.
That was pagan as hell. That was great. But yeah, I think you're so right, where if we had, thank God we had that microsecond looking at the photo of her mom.
Yeah.
Not enough time there for sure. But yeah, it really did happen in the books and in It chapter in the 1991. Yeah, I wonder, I don't know.
I mean, I'm probably the honest answer is I'm probably just overthinking this, and it doesn't matter because they're just spooky horror sequences, and the kids will be in danger when the story wants them to be in danger, and
right.
won't when it won't. Like, I mean, I think you can like chalk up Pickle Dad as literally just Pennywise fucking with her,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like, he's just messing with her. Like, did he intend to kill her? I don't know. Like, what actually happened in that sequence for real? I have no idea, because yeah, it's like, it is not like Bev and the blood. It's not like she snaps out and like no one else notices the pickles everywhere. It's just her that, like, we're not doing any of that. So I think I'm just probably overthinking it, but it was on my mind. It was like 2 sequences in a row where we have these characters in this imminent danger, and then they look up and everything's back to normal again. It's just like, okay, so what are we like? I said to you in text that it feels a little Freddy Krueger-ish. It feels like Nightmare on Elm Street, and like the second they wake up, the danger's past. Now it's gone because it's dream danger, and that's it. I don't know. I think they make for great scenes, but I don't know if it necessarily fits the logic of how it worked in the books.
Another question, piggybacking on this. Are we at the start of the 27-year cycle? I don't have any textual evidence for this, and I don't remember in the book if there's like a preamble, like if there's, introductory phases before he starts killing and eating. Because we have those spliced moments where we see the bulletin board with missing children.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is where are we in the cycle? Is it pretty fresh?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think one thing, I actually looked this up because I was curious, and I reminded myself that in the book, Mike kind of says it's roughly 27 years. That it's 27 to 30 years. It doesn't always, like, when it starts versus when it picks up into its zenith, and like that kind of sort of varies. So I mean, I think 62 lines up with 27 years from 89, which is when the majority of It Chapter 1 takes place. Now, of course, Georgie dies in 88, I think, in like the fall of 88, and then the events of the movie are the summer after that. So I think it works because it's just like it's much more nebulous and less like, I think when we look back and we remember it as very strictly like it's 27 years. It's exactly 27 years always. But I think King kind of built a get out of jail free card with that, where it's like, it's somewhere, it's just roughly this many years, and I can do whatever I feel like as long as it's roughly 27 years apart.
I love it. There's so much. I love that all the book fans out there, we're all having to just gray area everything.
Yeah.
It's all getting muddled. And I understand this is Muschietti's world. I get it. But that's what's so tricky with the novel. It's just so beloved. People have read it 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And the definitive rules of 27 years, it's like in our DNA.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's 30 now?
Yeah, no, for sure. As much as I don't like CGI monster stuff, I thought the design of Pickle Dad was pretty gruesome. The three chopped. I like the detail of one of his hands is like holding the three pieces of his head together in the back. Apparently, the tentacles are supposed to be his intestines. That's something I learned from the little thing at the end of the episode. I didn't catch that. I was like, why are there tentacles? What does this have to do with anything? But they're supposed to be his intestines. So sure, why not?
Sure. But yes, Scott, I am very upset. I did my best to be objective. The fiction teacher in me understands this was an artistic choice. However, you mentioned how we had a lot of good character build up for Lily. We learned a ton about her in these 2 episodes. And we found out this little young one has gone through it.
Yeah.
Way more than anyone else. And so I think I'm trying so hard to be objective. And in the 72 hours since I've watched it, I can't not be mad. I'm fire ass mad about this, Scott. Mm-hmm. I think just because we have a young girl who lost her dad. Her mom doesn't advocate for her. She was institutionalized. Oh, she saw a bunch of friends get murdered. Her friend went missing. She saw dead fingers in the drain. I mean, the laundry list of what this young girl is going through. And then you give her this gorgeous, really awesome grocery store sequence. I like Pickle Dad. I think that was great. But then, why did they have to do that, Scott?
Yeah.
It was just the straw that broke Kimsey's back. That's it. That's it. I will not tolerate this. No. I lost it. And it was just, that was the last straw for me.
Yeah. It was just a step. I think you're right. It was just a little bit of a step too far. And like, I don't know, like, I didn't mind even when the tentacle intestine like wrapped around her neck. I just didn't know why we had to then go with and it's going to shove it into her mouth. There's so much connotation there. And there's
yes.
like speaking of charged imagery that the show is calling upon sometimes, that's a lot. And to deal with that so kind of cavalierly, just felt a little weird. I'm with you, and I feel this poor character. Holy crap! And this happens right after she was just blackmailed by the chief of police in recanting her testimony. Which I said this before, but I'll say it again. Children, if you're a child listening to this, do not talk to the police without your parent or guardian present. They are
Ever.
legally not allowed to question you. Like the idea that the cop like took her from school, like it's just, and of course it's a Bowers, right? The chief of police is a Bowers.
Of course.
I guess this is Henry's grandfather, we'll assume. It's perfect idea there to make him just an absolute terrible piece of shit. And yeah, what he did to this poor girl was unforgivable. And then, of course, at the end of the episode, after all that, after she is blackmailed into recanting her testimony, is then rightfully and justifiably like verbally attacked by Ronnie, who is distraught by Lily's choice of now taken her father away from her. So she has to go through the guilt of that experience, and then she gets pickled added, and then she ends up back in Juniper Hill anyway. And it's like, holy shit, like what else can happen to this poor girl? And we got 6 episodes left.
Truly.
So, oh my gosh, she needs to win real quick.
Yes. And Scott, these motherfuckers who decided to bring in their tentacle porn hentai bullshit.
Yeah.
No, this was not the moment, you idiots. I am very upset. This poor girl has gone through enough. Leave Beverly/Lily alone.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I'm with you on that. I loved so much of that sequence. And then I feel like they just tripped at the end. Man. But that was like the overhead announcer guy, like really added to like everything in there is working so well. And then it's just like, it just feels like, do you remember the movie Tommy Boy? When he's talking about, he's got the what is it? A roll. He's got the roll in his hand and he's using a metaphor that the roll is his shiny new sail. And then by the end of it, he gets so excited and he just destroys the roll. Like that's what they're doing with their sequences. Like they're so excited. We got this great sequence and we're so excited and we're doing so well. And then by the end of it, it's like, oh no, I destroyed it. I ruined it. That's what I feel sometimes with these things.
Most accurate. It was almost a home run. It was stunning. It was so creepy. I love the CGI too. I mean, Bat Baby was laughable. Bat Baby was kind of silly and a little too over the top to retain my care there. But Pickle Dad was terrific. But then you killed it. You went a bridge too far and you didn't hit a home run. You fouled it.
Yeah. I'm with you. Poor Lily.
Poor Lily. And I just like Beverly Marsh in the novel, it breaks my heart so much because none of the girls are her friend because they think she's a jerk. Like, everyone knows Beverly's story and she makes me feel so powerless. And so this is being a woman, this is being a teacher, and I see someone victimized like Lily, and my soul is shattered. And these asshats just had to go that one extra step. It was fine that the tentacle was around her neck. That was fine. You killed it.
Yeah.
Screwed yourselves. You shot yourselves in the foot.
Speaking of being mean to Lily, though, what's the deal with Marge? What are we doing? What are we doing with Marge?
What is Marge? What is going on there, Scott? God.
So, did you catch? I think everyone catches this, but just to say it, the moment when first of all, we haven't even talked about Rich, our other new child character, who I guess is going to be friends with little Will Hanlon, defined by the guy who picked up his pencil and was impressed by his pencil, and then he's in his band uniform at lunchtime chatting with Will. He's got the hots for Marge for some reason. Marge is the worst. She's the like so we have the patty cakes who are terrible. Like they are like the terrible popular girls in school. But Marge is like worse than them because she's trying so hard to impress them. She just acts worse. And we have that scene where she walks by, that slow-mo scene where he sees her. Did you like she's got the Pennywise eyes. Like what are we doing? Like I read some stuff. People online are like, no, she's actually Pennywise, guys. Like no, I don't think she's actually Pennywise. I just think we're really like not being subtle in what we're doing with this character, which is I guess she's just gonna maybe she's like the Henry Bowers of this this, like, she's gonna be the bully, but we're doing it on with a little girl instead of a boy. I hate her. I hate her so much. They did give it up for this actress. This woman named Matilda Lawler. She is doing a fantastic job at making you just like, I can't stand this girl. And we have two separate scenes where she's so desperately trying to impress these patty cake girls that she just turns on the nastiness. And I am especially offended by this because the guy she was making fun of was a little boy named Scott. And she called him Scott the Snot, and I don't appreciate that at all. That offends me personally.
That's terrible, Scott.
I know.
Marge
Sometimes we have runny noses, okay? Marge?
She sucks. She's so weird.
That's the thing. She's so, like, it's not just that she's nasty. And like, I like that the show has taken the time to define, like, the nastiness comes from this place of real insecurity and desperation to fit in. And I like all that, but it's like, it's not just the nastiness. It's the way the show treats her, where it's always kind of weird. You're right. Like, the way we frame her scenes, like where the camera is placed relative to her, is always like kind of off-putting and weird and disconcerting. Like, I mean, just to do the Pennywise eyes thing on her just like puts you in a certain frame of mind whenever you see this character. And they have moments where, like, I think we're supposed to sympathize with her a little bit, and I'm just like, no. No, like, so that's my confusion with Marge, is like, ultimately, what role is she going to serve in the ongoing story? But man, she does suck a lot.
You're so right in terms of, like, where are they going with Marge? I mean, Ronnie Grogan, we have a little bit of character data. Mm-hmm. Lily has the most, but Margie, we don't have anything. And she's just a weirdo who is scene stealing. And I'm eye rolling over here. We all are. And I'm like, what is your motivation, buddy? Like, what is your function, Marge? We don't have any of that now. So now we just don't like you.
Yeah. I did read a rumor that Marge is going to be Richie Tozier's. Is it Richie or Eddie's mother? I don't know.
I think it's Richie, because you said that, because the little boy, the band.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Scott's notes next to Richie. So who the fuck is this kid? I'm still laughing about it. The little Rich in the locker hallway the hallway with the lockers. He's smitten kitten for Marge.
Yeah. And
so his name is Rich. And I think you're right, Scott. I like this rumor that's Richie Tozier's dad, and his mom is a freak.
Yeah. Margaret Tozier was Richie's mother. Now, I think she went by Maggie in the book, but Margaret, I think Marge can be a shortened form of Margaret. So, I don't know.
I like this, but yeah, I don't get this girl. I think her glasses are hilarious, and her bug-eyed weirdness.
Yeah.
But she's just like the kid in school where you're like, I gotta go.
I don't know why the patty cakes put up with her at all, really. Like,
that's another great question.
Sometimes the show does like really cool things, right? So like the scene where they're all at lunch and they see Ronnie and Lily talking to each other, and so Marge starts making fun of Lily because she's so desperate to fit in with the patty cakes, and I think she's like pretending to die or something, and I think is the leader of the patty cakes just named Patty? Is that why she's called? I don't remember her name, but the head girl sees the other two girls like cackling madly at Marge, and is like immediately like concerned and jealous, and that's when she is like, "Didn't you wear that sweater yesterday, Marge?" And I was like, are we gonna have like a whole Mean Girls subplot?
Yeah,
it's in the show.
Regina George.
Yeah.
Regina George.
Exactly. And it's just like, that was the moment where I'm like, we're supposed to feel bad for Marge. And I was like, but show, like, you just have her she's making fun of her close friend just to impress these people. And then someone says something mean to her and you want me to feel bad for her. I'm not doing it. No, I don't want to. So yeah, I'm so confused as what we're doing with her. I would not be surprised at all if she becomes like the eye symbol was not that she's literally Pennywise, guys, but that she becomes like a an avatar is not the right word, but that like a tool that is used by it to manipulate these children and hurt these children.
I like that. I like that. I think that she might be used for the dark side for sure.
Yeah.
She'd be weird.
Yeah, certainly. And then that brings us to Rich, who the reason why I put who the fuck is this kid is just like I feel like the way they choose to introduce this character to us is really interesting, because like we see him in the classroom, like he picks up Will's pencil, is impressed by the type of pencil. It's a great first impression, Rich. Good job. And then we see him, like he's clearly like one of the nerdy kids in school, which is fine. But like it's at the very end of that scene where we even get his name. It's like, oh, I'm Rich, by the way. And I get like they're gonna become friends. I know they're gonna become friends, but it's just like it was a really weird way of introducing him. And then with the sequence with Marge walking by and him love struck with her. I did like when the other girl in the back just flicked him off. I also really did like the look on Marge's face when she realized that this guy had the hots for her, where she's like horrified by it. Sometimes the show is good.
It was very cute. And when I first saw that exchange of him lusting after her, I was like, well, every trash can needs a lid. I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. Marge is a weirdo. Okay, Rich.
Marge.
All right.
Yeah, what, like, I want him in a paragraph to explain to me, like, what is about Marge that you're, like, so into? Because she's got glasses on, you know? Glasses. No, but, like, she just, like, personality-wise, she seems like a kind of a wet blanket. Like, she doesn't see, like, what is her defining characteristic as a person in the show? It's that she sucks. It's that she's desperate to fit in and...
annoying.
And not very funny, actually.
No, that was very insensitive and rude.
Yeah.
And you are a mouth breather with your giant glasses, and you're kind of a freak show, Marge. And like,
take that, Marge.
And like Lily, there's that one scene where Marge is talking directly at her at this weird angle with her bug-eyed glasses in Lily's face, and Lily's like, I don't care about your stupid patty cakes. People are dead. Shut up.
Yeah.
Go away.
It's like you want a fist pump for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, who cares? Who cares? What I will say, though, is in the lunchroom, the patty cakes all had pastel cardigans, and it looks like the Candyland game board, Scott. It's so pretty. And then if you look at Lily and Ronnie, they're in dark jewel tone, and it's all the colors. I know it's like so kindergarten of me, but I don't care. It's so pretty.
That's great. Yeah. Using colors to communicate. Movies and shows do this all the time, and I think you're right. That was really, really great work there. And also, like, that sequence when they're doing their weird, like, patty cake chant while Ronnie and Lily are trying to have a conversation, that was creepy, man. Like, yes. I think that, like, sometimes, like, stuff just, like, the simplest stuff just works, and that was just, like, sufficiently creepy and wonderful. Like, it doesn't matter that, like, why is this happening and why are we layering these things on top of each other? The answer is just because it's creepy. And then, like, that's it. That's the answer. I loved it.
It worked so well. And what was wild is when that was happening, I was like, oh yeah, we did do that in school. Do you remember the girls with hand clap games, Scott?
Yeah,
like that. It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing, and I remember them. It's deep, deep, deep in the cerebellum. Like I can't. It's shocking when you hear songs when you were 13, or I remember all the hand clap games from the playground. That's scary.
It's all up there in your brain somewhere, and it just needs a reference point to go find it.
Right, and so that patty cake sequence, I was like, down by the banks of the hanky panky where the bullfrogs. I was like, oh my God, get out of my head. That's scary.
All right, I'm almost out of stuff to talk about. Do you have any more stuff you wanted to talk about?
This is a great question. Let's see. We have gone over the big potholes, our big problems, which is the government using Pennywise as a weapon. Gulp. And then you and I are still question mark about the birth stuff. Yeah, I think we did a good job
If we
circling
have
that.
another like gross birth sequence in episode 3, then we're clearly doing something intentionally with this, and I will not know what it is. I will need the show at that point to explain to me what you're doing.
Truly. Remember from the preview, Scott, we see like the smiling people, and that's kind of like freaky smiling Derry folk. We have the 2 guards or attendees outside of Juniper Hill. They're smiling
Yeah.
very frighteningly
Yeah.
at Lily. And so I'm curious about that because I haven't seen it on any other townsperson until then.
I think there was some like in the Pickle Dad sequence, there was a couple people in the rows that were like doing the creepy smile stuff.
I didn't like that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. The
And
skulking guy.
And he's like just out of focus, and some of them enough to like be maximally like that was such a good sequence right up until the end. Oh man, that was so good.
It was great. Another thing, I had a Halloween candy coma this weekend. And so I just had, I watched, I don't know why or how, I had 1990 It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2. I just had them play. And so I was watching It Chapter 1 with Keen's Pharmacy. And I think we get a little bit of the real beauty in the store that we saw in the grocery store in this last episode. Muschietti did that in Keen's Pharmacy. There's that scene with Bev facing the wall of Tampax, and it's all perfect and pristine. And so all the aisles were really great, but it's so subtle and we don't get enough time.
Yeah.
But I got to appreciate it a little bit. I'm like, oh, he does have an eye for that. There is aesthetics in his shop. And so I was really pleased that now that I'm watching Welcome to Derry, It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 are more enjoyable. I'm enjoying that. So that's cool. And then Mike Hanlon, of course, said something about my grandfather believes that Derry, there's an entity here, like verbatim. That's his direct quote. And I was like, this is huge. This is really huge. So they are connecting them. So if anyone out there has It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 playing in the background as you're doing other things, you pick up some cool stuff that I think
cool.
Welcome to Derry is expanding on, which is kind of fun.
That's really cool. I like that. I haven't seen those films in a while, so that's great. One thing I wanted to point out, and kind of connecting back with what we talked about last week with Leroy Hanlon and this idea of the all the bad parts about this country can be solved with all the good parts about this country. There was a line that I picked up. This is when I forget who it is, but he's talking to Bowers, the police chief. And he says like they're basically demanding that they arrest what's his name? I keep forgetting characters. Hank. Basically demanding that he arrests Hank. And he says like, this is America. Like we can't just do things like that. And the guy's response is, this isn't America. This is Derry. Yeah. And I thought that was a very interesting turn of phrase in a show that's already kind of established this idea of one of our central characters believes in the goodness of the system and the goodness of the country, and like drawing this idea that this place is not that, it's not going to have that. I thought that was really cool.
That was a good line. That was cool.
Just some random stuff to point out. So the guy at the deli or the butcher is named
Mr. Kirsch.
Yeah. So that's probably related to creepy Mrs. Kirsch. I think one of my favorite lines in the whole show is "suck an egg, Paul Bunyan." It's like, once again, talking about expectations and like the racism in this town. I know we've already talked about this, but we have to go back to this again with Charlotte walking down the street, and you're kind of just waiting for something to happen to her.
Yes.
And then this guy drives by in a car, and you're like, oh shit, here we go. And then he says, "Suck an egg, Paul Bunyan," and he throws an egg at the billboard that represents the in progress Paul Bunyan statue being built. And it's like, oh. And I think this is where it fits right in with you said of like, the show is messing with us to a certain extent with like it knew what we were going to think when we see a car rapidly approaching this black woman walking down the street. Like it knew a lot of us went like, okay, here we go. And then it subverts that. And it's like, that's interesting. What are you ultimately doing with that?
Right. And then it's hot and cold. They'll subvert it and then they'll put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or we'll hear about it somewhere else. And so I can't relax. And I can't, which is good. I think that's an effective tactic of the show is they've got us by the throat and we're not going to relax because I can't. I did have a quick question. This is that scene where Halloran and the three guys are drunk outside of and he has a giant glass of hooch, Scott, like a jar of moonshine. And so I don't know a lot about the military, or I don't know if it's for different branches, but can you get in trouble for being drunk, or it's just you have to have? Because I guess my question was, he tosses it right in front of the guard, and they're clearly stumbling and bumbling. And so I'm like, wouldn't the military police, like, isn't it very, very strict? Like, if you're intoxicated at all, you can get written up for that. So I had a question about that.
I think so. I'm not in the military. I never have been. I know, like, you can't always just like leave the base whenever you want to. So like, right. I think the implication of the scene is that they would have been in a lot of trouble if not for Dick and his special circumstances. So whether I think being drunk in public, I think they were in uniform too. I think that's a big no-no. If you're in uniform, you should not be publicly intoxicated at all, or even seen drinking. So I think that part of it is definitely bad. So I think they would have been in big trouble. Yeah. And that is, and like they do mention, like they leave the bar, which I believe is called the Falcon, which is I think the name of I think it's the name of wasn't that the one that turns into the gay bar in it? I think it is, but I don't remember.
Good call.
But they mention that they go that he knows somewhere and they go somewhere else, and that's where they get the moonshine. So I'm wondering if we're doing like this is a proto Black Spot thing, that this is where they go, but we do like a funny jump cut where he's like, I never get drunk. I can always hold and then he's the most intoxicated one. So for the sake of that funny abrupt cut, we can't show where they actually got the moonshine. But I mean, maybe this is laying the groundwork for the Black Spot.
I hope so. But that much moonshine would have killed him.
That's a lot. That's a big bottle. I couldn't believe how big that was.
Same. I was like, no, what the hell? You would die if you drank that. That would kill a small dog. My goodness.
So I'm going to call these moments from now on girl farting moments, which is just like a random funny thing happens in the show and there's no explanation for it whatsoever. And the girl farting moment in this episode is when a guy walks into the bar playing the bagpipes and then he just trips over and falls. And then we just move on from the scene. Like, what are we doing?
I forgot about that. What the hell?
I was just like speechless. Like what? And like no, like they all like look at him weird, and then just we all just carry on with the conversation. Like, what? Why? I'm growing to love them though, but they're officially girl fart moments. So
you're 2 for 2. That is amazing. That is because you're right that there is no rhyme or reason for why that happens, and it's so awkward, and everyone's just like, what? And then we just move on.
Yeah. Amazing.
Girl farting. I love this, Scott. I fully endorse. It's great.
Another thing that this was something I only caught on the second viewing, but when Charlotte Hanlon goes into Secondhand Rose, which is the antique store, there's a man in there inventorying stuff at the time. He's a bespectacled, thick black glass frames, and he's doing inventory. In It Part 2, the owner of the Secondhand Rose was the Stephen King cameo. And I'm pretty sure this kid is supposed to be a young version of that character. And if you watch the scene, he's doing kind of a King impression as he's reading off the inventory stuff. And they like made him up to like look like a young Stephen King. I think that's definitely what they're doing. And I thought that was fun. That's a very 10 steps away reference to get to what they're doing there, but I liked it.
It's so good. I missed it. I watched the episode 3 times. I missed it until you said something. And I was like, he's right. It's a deep cut. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, I think the obvious stuff that I just wanted to mention, just so we don't get people emailing us, why didn't you mention that? They had Fizzla Cola, which is close to Nozzla, which is the soda from the Dark Tower. And then the one other big thing we saw in the grocery store was the Calumet baking powder, which is so heavily featured in Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. It's the one with the Native American face on it that launched 1,000 interpretations of this Kubrick's The Shining actually being about the America's treatment of Native Americans.
Dude, I missed that one. That is awesome. That is so cool. I don't think I've seen The Shining enough to have gotten that one.
Yeah, it's the only reason I recognize it is just it's a very distinct like red. It's like red, white, red striped with a Native American with a headdress on, and it's I think they cut to it a couple times over the course of the sequence, but.
Oh, very cool. Bravo, everybody out there. I love this. Good job.
Yeah. I think that's all I had, though.
I think so too. We did good talking about the giant crater problems we have because they be big. So I feel really good, and I generally had way more positive vibes on this one. So I'm very glad for that.
Same. Yeah. I mean, like I've certainly had the moments of stuff we talked about that we didn't like, but I am much more hopeful for the show going into the future episodes than I was after the first episode. I honestly think, as stupid as it is, the bad military plot stuff is stuff I can probably just like learn to live with. Like once you just like settle into, okay, this is what they're doing in this show. If they make the character stuff work amongst all this terrible plotting, I think it can ultimately work. But I don't know what the climax of the show looks like other than this whole thing blowing up and failing spectacularly.
Same. I am hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic going forward. But yeah, I like what you said about what if they blow it all and we get all the intervals this season. I mean,
it'd be wild.
It would, and I would really not trust them to do a good job just making crap up. I of course I'd watch it, but I don't know. I would not make any monetary bets.
Yeah. Gosh, we are officially a fourth of the way through the show now. So,
oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. So Marge is weird, and I hope we find out more on why she's like, we need character data. Like, we just have too much weird.
Yes. Let's get, maybe we're going to get a whole Marge episode.
Did you notice in Rich's little locker, he had Spartacus? The first Spartacus, which yeah, it was cool. It's a still from the very first Spartacus, and that actor inspired every bodybuilder who's ever lived, specifically Arnold Schwarzenegger. I forget his name, of course, but it's like he's so little and shrimpy, little Rich. So it was a cute little moment if you caught it in his locker.
No, I missed that, but I love that. That's so great.
It's really darling.
I think I'm going to end up really loving that character. But I just think it's so kind of weird how we introduced him and handled him in this episode.
Oh my God, that scene with him and Will, I love him so much. I hope he would be my friend. But Rich says, yeah, my God, or my dad told me that the sky's blue because God's a boy. Otherwise, it would be pink. And Will's like, interesting theory. And the way he says it, like this slow deadpan, I'm like, these kids are killing me. These precious angels. That was so funny. And then the last thing that made me love Will Hanlon forever is he's talking to Ronnie in detention and he says, maybe I'm just made of stardust. And I got tears in my eyes. I don't know why.
He's stinking a stink bomb. His interpretation is maybe I'm just made of stardust.
And he smiles and he has dimples and I'm crying. I'm like, oh God, this is too much.
One more thing on him. I loved the telescope scene was so good. And his dad's like, well, until then, maybe we could just use it to spy on the neighbors. And Will is like, no. He's like, his dad's just kind of clearly trying to make a bad joke, but Will's like taking it utmost seriously. Like, no, that wouldn't be right to do that.
He's so matter of fact, that little science boy. Oh my God. I love him so much. Like, he does no wrong in my eyes, Scott. No wrong.
The good news is, out of every character in the show, he is the only one that is safe because he has to live. So
yes,
we're good. We're good.
Oh.
Everyone else can die.
Final thoughts. I know last week we talked about Will Hanlon dying from being in the junkie fire. Mm-hmm. I think that that was a smear campaign. I don't think they were junkies. I think that Derry just lied. And
I like that.
Right. It just came to me as I was watching the films over the weekend. We don't have that much data at all that indicates they were drug addicts. We just see a newspaper heading that said junkies die in fire. And I'm like, oh my God, Derry just shit all over them.
Yeah.
Like, which is even more tragic because there's no way brilliant, precious Will Hanlon would ever touch drugs in that regard. No. And so I'm like, no, Derry just smeared them. So Will Hanlon was not a junkie, and he does not die in a junkie fire. He died in a fire, but it was of nefarious means. It was probably Pennywise.
Yeah. Redemption. All right. I love it. That's great. I'm so happy. I'm happy for little Will. I hope nothing bad ever happens to him, like dying in a fire.
I think we are both happy today, Scott, and that's always nice.
and I just if someone is at the end of this episode is confused as to why we're so positive about the show after to be fair, shitting on it for the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like the fact that in spite of, as I said, the dumbest plot line I've ever heard in my entire life, like the fact that I like so much about what the show is doing in spite of that, I think is a testament to how good the good parts of the show are. I think they're doing a really great job. Just that whole plot line.
Agree. My God, fingers crossed they figure it out and sell it to us real solid with a real airtight lid that we can work with. Or
in episode 3, they're just like, hey, we were thinking about it. We're not gonna do that anymore.
Yeah.
Turns out Kennedy solved the Bay of Pigs without using Pennywise.
Oh God in heaven. Yeah. Oh man, I got no words. I got no words, Scott. I can't even.
All right, so that was episode 2, The Thing in the Dark. I guess the thing in the dark was the government's terrible plan. But episode 3, Kim, is titled Now You See It.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of like who's the magic user. You know, it's probably a little Rich. Like, let's be honest here. That kid is super into magic, right?
Absolutely.
It's going to be him. So we got the Rich episode coming next week.
So cute.
So that'll be next week's episode. It airs on the normal time on Sunday night. So we'll be back on Wednesday with our reactions to it. This has been great. I had a lot of fun. Despite, I was excited to come into this episode, but I was like a little bit worried that I was just going to lose it so much with the plot stuff that it was going to completely overshadow everything else. But once again, Kim, you have made this just absolutely delightful, even when I don't like some of the stuff. So thank you.
I'm so glad. This is totally fun. Thank you guys out there for listening and watching with us and contributing with your brilliant theories and Easter eggs. It's so much fun being with everybody.
Yeah, please keep that up. Make sure you are reaching out and sharing your thoughts and opinions on it. Once again, you can reach us via email at kingslingerspod@gmail.com or over on Twitter at kingslingerspod, on Instagram at Doof Media. Reddit is reddit.com/r/Doof Media. Of course, you can always leave comments on the YouTube or on Spotify or in the Discord, wherever. We'll find it. You leave the comment, we'll find it. We appreciated y'all's feedback and opinions last time, so keep it up. This has been a lot of fun. All right, folks, that's it. Next week, Now You See It. Did you ever see that film, Now You See It?
I didn't. I wanted to because there was Vegas in it, and I was like, "Ooh, Vegas!" And then I never watched it, and I didn't know if they were real magicians or what.
Well, that's the fun of the movie. Sorry, it was called Now You See Me, not Now You See It. And I will never forgive them for making a sequel to Now You See Me and not calling it Now You Don't. They called it Now You See Me 2, but they are making a sequel to Now You See Me 2 that is now called Now You See Me : Now You Don't. And
oh no.
And I just can't with the world right now. But that's besides the point, because this episode is called Now You See It. And it's got it in the title. So is this like, one thing we didn't say is there's no Pennywise in this episode either. So the episode 3 is titled Now You See It. So are we going to see it now?
We better, because we've got some Pennywise fans out there, Scott, who are about to riot. They are unhinged. They are here for the clown. And I mean, if we don't see some Skarsgård dancing around, I don't know what they're going to do. We'll be fine. I don't know about them.
Yeah, I am shocked at their restraint about waiting for 2 episodes. But yeah, I think Skarsgård shows up next week for sure. I think he has to. I think you're right. It would be shocking. Like, so heavily involved in the marketing of this thing that, and as we know that Pennywise has been around in every single episode, right? Like, that's Pennywise in the car. That's Pennywise. That Pickle Dad is Pennywise. Scary Birth Mom is Pennywise. But yeah, you're right. People want the clown. That's what they came for.
Scott, I am going to laugh forever at Pickle Dad. Forever. It is never not going to be funny. Probably because when you say it, I think of Pickle Rick.
Yeah, no, I am too. Don't worry.
From Rick and Morty, which, oh my God. But yeah, so Pickle Dad will never not be funny.
Well, with that, to all the Pickle Dads out there, I hope you have a good week. We'll see you back here next week for, what is the name? Now You See It. It's the name of the episode. Episode 3, Now You See It. Until then, long days and pleasant nights.
And may you have twice the number